Thanks for joining us for our City Council recap this week. My name is Chris Los. I'm joined by Hugo Torres.
Hi, everyone.
Hugo, thanks for being here. You
Thank
also
you.
find Hugo wrapping up the girls' volleyball season at Clifton Middle School.
That's right. Very exciting. As a matter of fact, I know we're going to talk about MAP, but I saw some of my players in the audience at the City Council meeting this last week, and so it's exciting to see the kids being good on the court, but also being good as far as all things Monrovia.
No, I love that, man. So it was a special meeting this week, and along with the regular meeting rolling right after that, Mayor Shevlin kicked things off recognizing Youth and Adult Leadership Academy graduates. Dr. Kelly led the Pledge of Allegiance, roll call with all City Council present, Councilmember Crudgington, Mayor Pro Tem Spicer, Mayor Shevlin, Dr. Kelly, and Councilmember Jimenez, all in attendance. 3 minutes in, you'll find out about the MAP team. We were just talking about that a little bit. I believe it's the 15th graduating class. You could correct me if I'm wrong.
If I were, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but I think it started around 2005, 2006, at least from the history that I know of it. I believe that Terrence Williams was pretty instrumental in forming it. I don't know if you all recall, but back in those days, there was a lot of gang violence going on, some shootings that happened in Monrovia, and so it was kind of an effort to bring business partnerships, the city, and all these folks together to really coalesce and get some things done in the area. So yeah, it has been a very exciting the forming of the group and how it's grown over the years.
Yeah. So since we're talking about it, I knew nothing about maps. I heard they were like, "Oh, Chris, you should do the map thing," and I'm like,
Right.
"I have maps on my phone. I don't know what you know what I mean.
Yeah.
What you're referring to." So what? So they started it around that time.
Yeah, so Monrovia Area Partnership, in the way that I understand the history, and and I'm sure we'll talk about the gentleman here in a second, but the way that I understood it was back when Monrovia was challenged with a lot of gang violence. There were some shootings that happened throughout the city. A number of leaders from faith, from the city, from businesses said, let's get together and let's get a group of people working all in this in one way to ensure that we are all on the same page as far as how we want to battle these types of issues. And so the partnership was created, and year after year after year since I've known about it, because like you, I have little kids, so I've been at home a lot taking care of that. But since then, it has just grown and grown and grown, and I think that they have, I believe, a yearly get-together in where you can go and learn about the different organizations that are part of the partnership. You can get involved, you can volunteer. And it's just a great resource for all Monrovians who want to do their part during challenging times, which certainly we've just had those during the pandemic and then to come.
Oh, that's cool. So it's like a resource, like really getting to know the city, the resources.
Right, and it's networking in the old school sort of way, where Monrovia is such a healthy community as far as people that want to do things, but oftentimes you may not know, unless you're really in the know, of who you can reach out to. And this is a way to a certain degree to circumvent that, to like be in one place and realize, oh, okay, I didn't realize that we have CERT, or that I didn't realize that the city does certain programs, or that faith-based organizations offer certain things. And again, rudimentary knowledge of the partnership, but that is the way that I've always understood it. It's businesses, faith, and in the city, and different organizations coming together to make sure that we're all doing better for all Monrovians.
Okay, I might have to try it out, man, next year.
You and me both.
You gonna do it? All right. We'll try to get there. City Hall was packed. I love seeing it. Like a lot of people there. Congratulations also to all the MAP graduates. There was a whole lot. The pictures up there on our KGM Facebook page as well.
And I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Lana Park. She was one of my volleyball players at Clifton Middle School, a fantastic young lady. And just to see her in the stands with her parents and a bunch of other kids that I know and families that I know, it's always cool just to see them on the screen, and also knowing that these are middle school kids that are already leaders in our community and what they're going to be doing not only now but in their time at the high school, and then paying it forward later on. So it's that part I always find exciting.
Super cool to see the young people with the adults. I loved it, man. They had refreshments and a quick break once they went through all the graduates, and then the regular meeting of the 76th Monrovia City Council kicked off. Following immediately, holding the meeting in honor of newly born Stephanie Lou and David Umalia's Hazley Vu.
which I believe, and I again could be wrong, but baby was born the day before the meeting.
I believe so.
So it was just it was really quick snapshot.
Yeah.
Instantaneous. So that was cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Opened with a prayer from Police Chaplain Terrence Brown. Sergio Jimenez led the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call. Everyone was still there. Nobody had left. Got into presentations and proclamations. November 2022 being declared Pulmonary Hypertension Awareness Month. Mayor Shevlin delivered the proclamation. Sharon Morris was there to receive the proclamation for Barbara Golar, who is not feeling well. Usually she is here with us on the show. Barbara, we hope you feel better very, very soon.
We do, and I will say again that I told Barbara just the other day when I saw her in my office that I missed one of these and I wasn't able to record for her, but I find her to be, a state treasure, and so the fact that I don't get to record to her, I'm a little disappointed, but hopefully, they'll invite me back around and we'll do it with Barbara.
For sure, and also too, to anybody watching, there is a seat here for you. Reach out to kgemtv@gmail.com. If you'd like to be a part of the team, we'd love to have you. We want people from our town here recapping the city council meetings.
For sure.
Finding ways to be involved. That's really what this is about. Also to shout, this Saturday we're going to be celebrating the life of Joni Golar, the 9th annual Breathe Fun Walk at Library Park at 8:30 a.m. Live entertainment, auction, raffles, games for kids. That's right there on Myrtle Street, to go right along with Pulmonary Hypertension Awareness Month. So that's happening this weekend. November 8th, 2022 proclaimed as Law Enforcement Records and Support Personnel Day. Mayor Pro Tem Spicer delivered the proclamation, and Captain Wilkin received his proclamation that evening. Assembly member Chris Holden was there from the 41st District. He came to make an address. That's 45 minutes in. Really cool to hear from him.
It's very cool to hear from him. I didn't realize, number one, he was that tall. Because I think I follow him on Twitter, and he doesn't look that big in his picture, but he's a tall fella. So definitely commands presence. Yes, it is a very long presentation. It's a very dense conversation, but a lot of important work that they have been doing up in Sacramento on the behalf of the San Gabriel Valley. I think there was some conversation about some asks that Monrovia is going to be putting together with his office because, we need attention and we need funds, like a lot of folks do. But it was a really good breakdown or a state of the valley in a sense, or his office anyways, as far as what they've done for his constituents.
Correct, and it was great because now he's chairing the Appropriations Committee.
Right.
So that's
the money.
Yeah, correct. So that's exactly what we needed. He's an advocate for dual enrollment. Also, too, I appreciate City Manager Dylan Feek and Council Member Crudgington for just speaking to the fact that we could definitely use funds to help restore Monrovia Canyon Park.
That's the one.
With the damages from the Bobcat fire. She mentioned a $10 million ticket. I'm not all the way sure on that, but it's quite a bit of money. But again, you can find that about 45 minutes in from Assembly Member Chris Holden. I thought that was really cool. He came out to the city to speak to us directly.
For sure.
Councilman Spicer thanked everyone for coming out to Make a Difference Day. That happened this past Saturday. Maisie and Yesenia with the Volunteer Center of the San Gabriel Valley thanked everyone for coming out to Make a Difference Day. 289 volunteers. That's amazing. Giving 4 hours of their time last Saturday, helping in 15 different projects around town. There's a beautiful video of it. You'll kind of get to see everybody doing their thing. It's about 1 hour and 4 minutes in. You can find the link in the description to the video, the full-length video below.
And I will tell you, as far as Make a Difference Day, I know that I've done it several times. And it's not just a day where you go out there and, you take a picture or it's a photo op. It is literally a day where you go out there and you tackle projects that have or a lot of deferred maintenance from our neighbors, from businesses, from areas that sometimes don't get the kind of attention. And you do. You can spot where those teams has been, and it's something that has been ongoing in Monrovia. I think it's a national event, but either way, we have tackled it as Monrovians for many years to come, and you are literally making a difference in someone's life because a lot of folks don't have the means to, tackle some of the projects that they have. And these teens, these adults, people from all walks of life that have different expertise, they go out there and they tackle and they do some outstanding work.
Yeah, it was cool to see that they're helping everyone from seniors to parks to schools.
Right.
It was very, very consciously thought through 15 projects. Again, thank you to Maisie and Yesenia for spearheading that with the San Gabriel Volunteer Center of the San Gabriel Valley. Also, thank you to Mayor Shevlin for reiterating that every day can be Make a Difference Day.
Right.
Like that, there is always something we can do. And that's something I talked to my son about, like, hey man, it's a little dirty over here as we're walking. Let's go back to the house, grab a bag, clean it up. Something you can do every day.
I thought about grabbing some of them kids and having them over to my place. I have some weeds I need to get through. So I thought,
hey man, not that kind of party. We can't do that on this show. You go.
Oh, man, I thought it was a free for all.
Yeah. So yes, big shout out to the 289 volunteers that came out. There was also a vote that we want to shout, unanimous vote yes from council on the consent calendar before moving into the public comment. First public comment was from Fred Wassam, a neighbor who spoke in regards to the traffic problem on Magnolia Avenue going north to south. He'd like to see a stop sign go up at the Magnolia and Lime corner. It was Fred Wassam and a neighbor who kind of spoke to it that live in the area.
That's right, and it is something that Monrovians, we need to be on the lookout for one another.
Yeah.
With kids coming back to school from the pandemic, we have a lot of traffic through all of our major corridors, and I know the city and I believe the school district have paired up and have worked on some pathways that kids can take that are safer. I think there's a map that's available off of the district's website. But still, a lot of it beckons that we drivers be responsible. And I know that we all get busy. We're trying to get to where we need to get to and whatnot. But there's a lot of kids out there, and specifically for these folks, they're talking about that traffic being dangerous down that way. And so they proposed a fix. Obviously, the city will go ahead and look at that. But we can all do our part by just slowing down.
Yeah, for sure. You can see exactly what they were talking about in the corner in better detail an hour, 10 minutes in on the video below. After that, Reverend Rick Bell from Bethel AME Church here on Primrose and Lime got up and just spoke from his heart, I'll say, about youth suicide, Choose to Live event that they do. And there's the grieving people that he talked about who are there that need help. But like, how do we reach people who are dealing with depression to help them choose to live was what he was really there speaking to the council of on how do we get people together collectively. I definitely felt his heart and passion for that.
100%.
So, and I'm with it. I'd love to see us figure out collectively how we make that happen. Right after that, an hour and 13 minutes in, that's when we heard from KGM members Marlene Gibb, Community Media of the Foothills Director Reina Delgado, Susie Ling, KGM Director David Palomares, Board Member Doug McComb, Board Member Dirk Beecham, along with myself, got up there to talk about our friend who is no longer with us, Mr. Ralph Walker. So that's about an hour and 13 minutes in. You'll be able to kind of see the thoughts and the sentiments. Mrs. Walker and was there along with Rashida and Miriam and Rachel. So you kind of get to see that. I do want to say I really appreciate our mayor breaking protocol. That to me showed so much. These city council meetings is a place, obviously we're doing this recap because we're just community members that are not integrated into these systems and the things that they have to do, and there's a way of running a meeting. And she broke protocol to allow council to share their thoughts and sentiments on Mr. Walker with Mrs. Walker, Miriam, Rashida, and Rachel, which I thought was super cool. Thank you for doing that. Salute to you, Mayor Shevlin.
100%.
For really showing his heart as a human in that mayor seat. Appreciate that.
And I guess, on to that point, it talks about the footprint, the really large footprint that Ralph Walker had on this community, the impressions that he made. It was very interesting to me to hear some of the history that I didn't know about. Because for me, Ralph Walker is just a Monrovia institution. I mean, I've seen, reels and reels of footage of him and of his interviews, of his walks around town, of the many different projects that he was involved with. And when somebody dedicates so much time, and this is not talking about like 10, 15 years, we're talking a lifetime's worth of work as a citizen journalist, I think is what they called him, and he truly was. It makes sense when people that are so, they're such a pillar to who our community is and why Monrovia is the way that Monrovia is now and how Monrovians understand themselves and what the story of Monrovia is. When somebody is that important to it, it makes sense to put aside the agenda of the day and pay homage to that. And specifically what I found touching as well is obviously it meant a lot to you. I felt that in that, but also to have his family there, to know that all the hours that he dedicated to this organization, KGEM, and then through the city, that it made a difference in people's life. And I think that as a father myself, that's one of the best rewards you can give is somebody saying you mattered. And to your family, like, hey, this guy made a difference in our lives.
Yeah, 100%. After that, we had Monrovia Chamber. I'm so sorry I forget your name, but you're amazing. I know her last name is Oñate. I got that part right. But an hour 36 in, she discussed the 2 new members to the chamber, Heart House, grand opening happening November 9th at 11 a.m. I'm excited about that. Ready for Kevin Hart to open up his restaurant here in our town.
He's going to come?
I guess we'll find out.
All right.
November 9th. Joint Chiropractics is the other business that opened up. Lunch Mob happening November 16th at Merengue. I love Merengue.
I do too.
Love that spot.
Shout
out
I'm
to
all
Ricky,
about the potato balls.
everybody over there. Yeah,
I'm already tasting them inside.
That dessert. Anyway, we're gonna not talk about, but Merengue, November 16th, Lunch Mob.
Well, maybe we'll make them hungry. They'll go. We can
well, look, go an hour 36 on the video below, and see the other stuff also coming up here in town. Get some good food. Lots of great events too coming up with the holidays.
For sure.
Let's see. After that, it was public hearing to our planning division manager. This is where it really went in. An hour 47 minutes in, they lay out the focused journal plan update, approved housing projects, touching on housing plan programs, ADU development, environmental justice goals. It's extensive. An hour 47. Scrub in if you'd like to see really all the details to what they were talking about for our planning division manager was talking about.
And it is literally years worth of work that have to be condensed into a presentation. But these are the steps that the city has to take in order to keep itself going, to grow in the future, to face the challenges that we have in the days to come. I mean, it is an extensive amount of work, and what I always say is hats off to everybody that has to do the deep dive research to make sure that they put these programs or these reports together so that our elected officials can vote on them.
Yeah, and it's detailed. Like I appreciate details when we're talking about something so big and so major with so many different pieces attached to it. Again, that's an hour 47 in on the video link below. Richard Burns of Southwest Carpenters came to advocate for local workers. I appreciate that. I'm here for the local. You'll find his words about 2 hours and 17 minutes in on the link below. Presentation continued. Council member reports is something you'll find. Meeting rolled for about 3.5 hours. Full link is below. Next city council meeting is Tuesday, November 15th at 7:30. And now I'm gonna break protocol real quick, man, because I think that's just something that we gotta do in honor of Mr. Ralph Walker.
Yeah.
You can see the whole city council thing below, but I'm gonna definitely say like there would be no city council recap show if it wasn't for Mr. Walker. He was the gentleman that brought me here into KGEM to introduce me to David and to Raina. And I got to serve on the board and get to meet the board and really see the heart and the resource of what is here. He believed in it. Like you were saying, this is like a lifetime worth of work, but it's also volunteerism. And we're in a day and an era where everybody wants to pop their YouTube channel off quick and get their TikTok channel rocking real fast and so they can monetize. He wasn't here for that. And that's what I learned too, is there's something to be understood to making sure that you're bringing truth to your community. And he went out to seek that out. He was literally in the streets. There's video of him at, whether it's a football game, a local event happening. David Palomares shared on the video how like that was, the call, hey Ralph, we need you. And he would come through. He was prepped, he was ready.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not fair to make comparisons, but, I always kind of thought of our local Hugh Hauser. He was out there constantly finding new stories, finding new angles, telling truths, uncomfortable truths if he needed to, because it was the right thing to do. Because I won't put words into his mouth, but I do think that when somebody has a history of studying and researching, telling stories, they're doing so because they want to expose the reality of things, so that if there are challenges, we can tackle them. Mm-hmm. And if there are things that are going well, we can celebrate them. And my only, I guess, sadness is that I never really got a chance to work with him, not in the capacity that you did. And thank goodness that you did. Because I feel like if I could have had one of those conversations with Ralph Walker, that would have been a feather in my cap. That's for sure. And I would like to think that anybody that had a conversation with him felt that way.
I believe it for sure. Like just from seeing the way people, I got to see, as we were looking online and seeing Facebook posts and different things, and you just realize that it was, while the city of Monrovia is a space that he loved, it was the people in the city of Monrovia that he really loved and he poured into, and wanted to make sure that we knew truths to what was happening in these political spaces. He's been an activist since he was a young dude in Chicago, and always the people's champ. And I definitely had to just close out this meeting very unscripted and very different in the way that I know he'd want to do it. You know what I mean? He was not the standard dude. He was not asking the standard questions. You can even hear the council members say, like, Mayor Pro Tem Spicer shared how he would just literally turn the other way and be like, you would see Ralph coming and just turn, but Mr. Walker would be there to talk to him, and
right.
And how they all had their own moments with him, but there's something so beautiful to what he did in getting to truth. I think media, I've gotten to work in media my whole career, and it can kind of become a story as opposed to like what happened.
Yeah.
Are we telling a narrative, or are we talking about what's going on? And that's something that in commercial media spaces you don't really get to do in the manner that you get to do here at a community space. So I definitely want to urge everybody to find your way to be involved. That was something that he was real big on. Like, get up, get out, get involved. Like, that's really all it is. To be a community activist, you got to be active. Where is it? It's different for all of us, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, and I think that's one of the misnomers about what being a community activist is that means that you have to give up your life to it. No, we all serve in different ways, and in life there's ups and downs, and there are times when you can be available to do certain things, and there's sometimes that you have to pull back. But I think it's it's the aggregate, right? When you look back at your life, like somebody like a Ralph Walker can do, is look at his life and say, throughout the ups and downs, I was involved, I was plugged in, I was engaged in my community, and I was making a difference. Sometimes maybe more, sometimes maybe less. We were talking a little bit ago about all of these places to focus on. Well, sometimes you just got to focus on at home, and that's okay because you're doing your part for the community that way. But if you're, this is the way that I always look at it when it comes to all folks, take a second to take a look at your surroundings, to look at who are the people in your neighborhood, and who can you help. and it could be just as simple sometimes as picking up a piece of trash that you see on the sidewalk. They'll make it, where you live a little cleaner. Or it could be something like a Make a Difference Day, when you're literally pulling weeds and getting scratches because somebody needs, help in their house.
Yeah.
Or it could be in front of the camera asking questions. There's a lot of need in the world. There's a lot of good people in the world. And I think that is what his example was. It isn't always pretty, but it's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I definitely want to encourage everybody that's watching this right now. If Mr. Walker impacted you in any shape or form, like, please get involved. One space we'd love to have you is right here with us on this City Council recap team. We're looking for more people. This is not, you don't have to be like a politician or a politically involved person. Like, we live here. Like I said, Hugo is coaching the Clifton girls volleyball team. Shout to you, man. That's a volunteer. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Go Cubs.
Serving. You know what I mean? Here.
And go Santa Fe. But yeah.
But find out how you can be more involved. We'd love to have you here because we think, as a community member, your perspective is important, and we'd love to hear that from a space like this. You don't have to be able to articulate your thoughts eloquently, like how I did that.
Yeah,
That's
no,
good,
I
right?
like you stuck the landing.
You know what I mean? So, but thank you so much. We do appreciate you watching this, and it will be more professional next week. But I just had to do this for my guy, Mr. Walker. We miss you, and we're gonna keep rocking for sure. Thank you. Next City Council meeting is November the 15th. That's Tuesday, 7:30 here at Monrovia City Hall, and we will catch you next time. Thanks so much.